This presentation is for the World Congress on Education, WCE 2018, called Introducing Phonics Generalizations in ESL Classrooms at Lower Secondary Level in Order to Improve English Pronunciation and Spelling, by Daniela Soradova and Zena Kralova from the Konstantin the Philosopher University in Nitra in Slovakia. As English significantly differs from the Slovak language in pronunciation and spelling, learners have a tendency to struggle with these skills. Although we use the same letters in writing and some sounds are similar in both languages, there are still many differences that are not often introduced to learners at the lessons of English. Nevertheless, many learners are able to achieve high levels in English by constant repetition, drill, and numerous encounter with language, but we believe that working with a language on a cognitive level improves learners' language skills more effectively. Teaching and learning English pronunciation and spelling in a non-native environment is very difficult, as English is a non-phonetic language, what means the way English words sound does not always reflect the written form. Speech sounds of English differ from the speech sounds of the Slovak language, and what is more, there are big differences in stress placement, quality and intensity of syllables, speech rhythm, intonation, etc. According to the pilot questionnaire results we carried out in 2016 before starting the research, we found out that most of the teachers, 33%, use the listen and repeat technique, 28% prefer reading aloud, 18% of the asked teachers read poems and songs with their learners, and 17% of the teachers use visual aids to teach pronunciation. From the observation, we learned that spelling is taught mostly by rewriting the word or instant repetition. The typical procedure of learning how to read and write a new word is by introducing its pronunciation as a whole word, where a teacher or a recording serve as models, reading it aloud in a text and rewriting it in a written exercise. Although there are more creative teachers who try and apply other methods for teaching, reading and pronunciation and spelling skills, in general, the above-mentioned procedure and rules find a regular place. As English is not a thoroughly phonetic language compared to the Slovak language, where each sound is represented by one letter, teaching and learning how to read and write requires a more complex procedure. One of the most common methods used for teaching English reading and writing in the English native-speaking environment is phonics. From a wider point of view, it can be also considered as an approach from which other methods for teaching English reading and writing unfold. Basically, phonics instructions teach the association of phonemes with graphemes and their combinations phonically. In other words, it is a set of rules, also known as phonics generalizations, that is gradually introduced to learners in order to teach them how to read and write step by step from the very beginning. Furthermore, phonics is based on the key concepts that learners need to be aware of when learning. Sounds are represented by letters. Sounds can be represented by one or more letters. Longer words are made up of syllables or block of sounds, and the same sound can be represented in different ways, and the same grapheme may represent more than one sound. Altogether, with the key concept, phonics skills go hand in hand. Segmenting, blending, and phoneme manipulation need to be practiced so that learners gain the ability to assess individual sounds, join sounds together, omit or substitute sounds, and generate new words. Segmenting means cutting words into individual sounds, for example, k, a, p. Blending means putting the sounds together, cup, so forming them together. Phoneme manipulation means playing with words, substituting individual sounds, and creating new words. K, a, p, k, a, t, k, e, p. The right introduction and implementation of phonetic skills engage learners' metacognitive skills and help them deduce the pronunciation and spelling of the unknown word and see the logic between the graphemes and phonemes. Based on the theoretical background of the phonics method, we suppose that the introduction of phonics generalizations in ESL lessons at the lower secondary level would improve learners' pronunciation and spelling skills. As we have already mentioned, there are some sounds in English that are very similar to Slovak, or they are written the same way as would be written in the Slovak language, and therefore we would skip these sounds and do not pay extra attention to them in lessons. However, there are many sounds that are represented by more letters or combinations of letters, and therefore it is rarely possible for English learners just plainly guess the pronunciation of the word or the spelling of the pronounced word. One may argue that it could be too late to introduce phonics generalizations extensively at lower secondary level, that is, after already 3 or 4 years of English lessons. However, we consider the biggest advantage of introducing phonics generalizations at lower secondary level to be in learners' wider vocabulary and thanks to their previous experience with language. At this level, we could build on known vocabulary and present sufficient examples when introducing some of the phonics generalizations. For the research, we chose those sounds that tend to cause mispronunciation and misspelling. The initial dictation and reading, comprising of the already known words but also new words built of similar sounds, helped us decide which sounds are worth introducing in order to improve learners' reading and spelling skills. We chose sounds such as o, sh, ch, th, e, or sounds that are written but not pronounced. Another reason why we chose to teach these sounds are that some of these combinations of letters appear in Slovak too, but have different pronunciation and therefore tend to cause problems in English writing or reading by Slovak learners. We either prepared our own exercises where the new sound was introduced, we asked the learners for additional examples, practiced it in a written exercise, and of course asked learners to read the words. Or we used the learners' mistakes during reading and spelling, and by applying phonological skills, we made learners correct themselves. Many times, we also try to accompany mnemonic aids to help learners remember the sounds, not just how they are pronounced, but also written. We decided to apply the chosen phonics generalizations in 2 classes in Year 6 for a period of 5 months. We applied the phonics generalizations once a week in lessons of English, and the remaining 3 lessons were taught by their teacher. We agreed to follow the regular curriculum naturally so that there is nothing skipped and so that learners do not feel that experimental lessons noticeably differ from the rest of lessons, which might create stress from the unknown. The action research and the experiment were applied in a group of 28 Slovak pupils of the 6th year of primary school. The pupils were divided into experimental and the control groups. We, as researchers, applied some of the phonics generalizations in the experimental group, and the control group has been taught by a regular teacher without any intervention. An error rate in a dictation and a reading test was measured in both groups before the intervention and after completing the intervention. In the time of submitting the paper, the research was still in progress, but now we are able to present at least partial results. The results of the experiment show that the experimental group where an intervention had been applied improved by 0.67% in the dictation test and by 3.18% in the reading test compared to the control group in a period of 5 months. On the one hand, the numeric data gave us tangible results. On the other hand, the observation of the students during the intervention gave us deeper insight into the whole procedure and their work and way of thinking. Although the phonics method is different, mostly because it has been aimed for native speakers predominantly, the non-native learners were able to understand the phonetic rules. They were soon able to apply phonological skills to self-correct their pronunciation, and most of all, they engaged their metacognitive skills by working with pronunciation on a conscious level. For more information on the research and outcomes, please feel free to contact us. Thank you for your attention.